العلي العظيم حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مضرك الهاربين والصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأطهرين سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقتلتهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم ملعونين. Amma ba'd, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziya, for the enlightenment of the graves of our marhumin, of the graves of the shuhada, ulama and siddiqeen, for the shafa'ah of those that are ill, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'azam, Arwahun al-Fida. Please recite your loudest salawat. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us another opportunity to sit in the remembrance of Abu Abdullah, to sit in the remembrance of Ahl al-Bayt. A place where we can change our destinies, an opportunity to change the route our life is taking by just holding fast to the arc of Abu Abdullah. In these majalis, just one tear shed, one intention made can allow a person to reach that stage of Kamal, because Abu Abdullah is that individual that was there to take people towards that perfection. That when you look at those 72 companions of Abu Abdullah and you find that each and every one of them was at such a level of devotion to their Imam that some of them weren't even the followers of Abu Abdullah, but in those few moments where their eyes met with the eyes of Abu Abdullah, their whole life changed, their whole destiny changed, and their whole akhirah changed within a moment. And this movement isn't restricted to just those that are elderly. It's not a movement that is restricted to those that are the younger ones. Rather, it is a movement that applies to every single individual at every single stage of their life, at whatever age that they are at. There is someone in Karbala that was at that age that a person can relate to. If it is the old Habib ibn Madahir that comes to Karbala upon the request of Imam, he comes, Imam, they say that Habib receives the letter of Imam, he begins to make his way out of Kufa. As he's passing by, he finds Muslim ibn Awsaja at a stall at the market. Habib turns to him, he says, Muslim, what is it that you're doing? He says, I'm buying dye for my beard. Habib says to Muslim, he says, Muslim, come with me, for let me take you to a place that such a dye will be applied to your beard that it will never be removed until the day of judgment. He says, the son of Zahra is alone in Karbala, come with me. And so Habib, Muslim, they make their way to Abu Abdullah in Karbala. When they reach and the day of Ashura dawns, Muslim ibn Awsaja is the first to die from the two. When Muslim goes out to fight, they say Muslim was so old that he had to tie a bandana to his his eyes in order to lift the eyebrows from in front of his eyes so that he could fight. He goes out, he fights. When he falls, Habib and Imam run to the head of Muslim ibn Aqil, and Muslim ibn Awsaja. This is one of the few people. It is incorrect to say that Imam went to the bodies of all the 72 companions. No, there is only maybe 15 or 16 outside of Ahlul Bayt whose bodies Imam Hussein went to directly. In the heat of the battle, it was not possible for Imam to keep on running, because at times 3 or 4 people would go out and fight. At times, tens would go to fight. And thus, when they were felled, Imam was unable to go to the bodies of every single one of those individuals. But one of those individuals that Imam goes to is Muslim ibn Awsaja. When he reaches the body of Muslim ibn Awsaja, Habib is with him. Habib addresses Muslim. He says, Muslim, is there anything that I can do for you? Is there anything that you want me to fulfill for you? Muslim ibn Awsaja says, yes, one thing. He takes the hand of Habib and he places it in the hand of Abu Abdullah. He says, until you are alive, defend this man. There is a role model for every single individual in Karbala. If you want to look at those that are young, the maqtal comes out. They say there was a young man. They don't say what his name was. They just say that his father had just been killed in Karbala. His mother was also present. He was a young man. He comes out riding, Amiri Husaynun wa ni'mal Amir. We don't know who he is because he doesn't say his own name. He says, Amiri Husaynun wa ni'mal Amir. سرور فؤاد البشير النذير علي وفاطمة والدا وهل تعلمون له بالنذير. He says that Amiri Husayn wa ni'mal Amir. My master is Husayn, and what a great master he is. The son of Rasulullah, Bashirun Nadir. His mother and father are Ali and Fatima. What greater honor does one need than that he is their son? He doesn't even mention his own name. Everything has been annihilated. At whatever age you want to look, there is someone there in Karbala that can form a role model for us, that can form a way for us to reach our Imam. If it's those that come from a life of sin, those that come from a life of deviation, and they wish to come towards truth, then this is the path that a person must walk upon. That they hold fast to the banner of Abu Abdullah. Whether it is people like Nafi' ibn Hilal, or people like Anas ibn Harith. There is a correction I need to make. A couple of days ago, or either yesterday, I said that I gave you the story of Nafi' ibn Hilal, that Nafi' had gone there. I mistakenly said Nafi' ibn Hilal. The story is Anas ibn Harith. That Anas ibn Harith goes before Karbala happens, decades before, and he camps out in Karbala waiting for Abu Abdullah. So there was this correction I needed to make. But Nafi' ibn Hilal, as well as an individual, when he comes out to fight, he's someone that joins Imam. He secretly makes his way out of Kufa under great difficulty, and he meets the Imam along the way. When Har says no one is allowed to join you, Nafi' ibn Hilal insists, and almost a fight breaks out. They allow him to join with the Imam. Nafi' ibn Hilal is this individual that in Karbala, he comes to the Imam. He says, Imam, I'm going out to fight. Pray for the accuracy of my arrows. Imam prays for him. Now Nafi' ibn Hilal has 12 or 13 arrows. He fires all 12 and 13 arrows and kills 13 individuals with every single arrow. Then when he has nothing left, he steps off his horse, he begins fighting with his sword. They capture him, they break his arm, and they capture him. They don't kill him. They take him straight to Umar ibn Sa'ad. There is a conversation between Umar ibn Sa'ad and Nafi' ibn Hilal. At that point, then they try and make him submit to Umar ibn Sa'ad. He refuses to submit. And so in the end, there in the camps of Yazid, he's killed. Some say that Shimr did it, some say that Umar ibn Sa'ad himself did it. But there's these individuals with that level of bravery. And that level of skill, that skill comes from their connection to the Imam, that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that dedication to their Imam. That someone like Abu Thamama Saydawi, as I mentioned to you a couple of days ago, comes to the Imam in the heat of battle and explains to us what is more important. He says to the Imam, Imam, I see that it is coming near the time of Salah. Should we pray? Or I wish to pray behind you. Imam says to him, may the mercy of God be upon you, O Abu Thamama, that you remembered Salah at this difficult time. That you remembered Salah at this difficult time. And Imam prays at that moment, at the actual time of Dhuhr. I said to us that, what is it that we do? We delay our prayer, we delay our prayer, we delay our prayer. For various things. I've got to go to work, or I don't want to ask anyone at work, or I don't want to, have to be put in an awkward position where people see me doing wudu, or, I have other pressing matters. No, namaz is wajib. Namaz is wajib. It's before every other action. It comes before all the mustahabbat. The wajibat are higher than the mustahabbat. And this is what this is what Abu Thamama Saydawi is teaching us. And Imam Hussein is guaranteeing, or Imam Hussein is ratifying what Abu Thamama Saydawi is asking for. Abu Thamama in the heat of battle is saying, I want to pray. And Imam is saying, yes, may Allah's mercy be upon you. We find it difficult. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen in Siffin, Amir al-Mu'mineen in the height of battle, he says it's the time of Salah, start praying. They come to him, Ya Ali, it's the most difficult part of the battle. Why will you stop the battle now to pray? We've almost got there. Amir al-Mu'mineen replies to them, he says, this is what we're fighting for. This is what we're fighting for. If we leave the Salah now, or we delay our Salah now, then what's the point of what we're doing? We need to understand the importance of Salah. When we look at the importance of Salah, the sixth Imam comes forward. On his deathbed, he gathers all his family members and gives them his final will and testament. What does the Imam say? He says that no, that our shafa'ah will not reach those individuals that consider their salah to be small. He doesn't say the people who don't pray. He doesn't say those that don't pray. The Imam says our shafa'ah will reach those individuals that do not consider the significance of their salah. What do they say? These are the individuals who maybe pray Fajr because they have to get up, but the Dhuhr and Asr, they're at work, they can't pray. Or then Maghrib, Isha, they'll maybe Qadha. Or then they'll pray the Qadha of Fajr because they couldn't wake up. Or that one day they'll pray, the next day they won't pray. Or that they'll say, no, this is happening now, we can pray namaz later, it's not becoming Qadha. Yeah? These are, sometimes we hear these words, it's not becoming qadha, it doesn't matter, we can pray later. Imam is saying, the one that considers his salah light, we will not do shafa'ah for him on Yawm al-Qiyamah. We will not do shafa'ah for him. And that day, when we listen to the peculiarities of the day of judgment, and on that day, if a person does not get shafa'ah of Ahl al-Bayt, there is nothing that will save them. It says if a person does not consider his salah to be important, or considers it to be light, so that person will never achieve our shafa'ah on the day of judgment. So we spoke about the shafa'ah. Please recite salawat. So he speaks about the salah. He says that the person that considers as the salah light, that individual will not receive our shafa'ah on Yawm al-Qiyamah. The one that considers it to be light, to be insignificant. The one that says, okay, you know what, pray it later. It's qada, we still got time before qada, no problem. Imam says, no. Praying on time. Sayyid Ali Qadi Tabatabai is one of the great Arafah that passed. The teacher of Allama Tabatabai, the teacher of Ayatollah Bahjat. These various names you will have heard from amongst the Arafah. Sayyid Ali Qadi Tabatabai, they came to him to ask him for advices. He says that if a person becomes regular at praying their namaz at the awwal time, at its actual time, and that person does not achieve spiritual heights of awakening and those levels of ma'rifah of Allah, you come and spit on the face of Qadi. Says that if a person prays on time, there is a prime time for every salah. The shortest of which is for Salat al-Maghrib. 10 minutes of prime time where you get the most amount of thawab. The other salahs have slightly longer times. But being able to pray on time, not making the prayer subservient to anything else, this is what's essential. If we do not give importance to that prayer, then how can we claim to be from amongst the followers of our Imam? If we can't have that discipline in our lives, then how is it that we can claim that we will rise up with our Imam? If I look at myself now and look at my life and I analyze my life, would I be that type of individual that in the heat of battle would say, you know what, we need to pray namaz now? Or do I say, no, let's wait till another time. It's not qada yet. When we get back, when it's easy to do it. These are important stages. We try and look for magical formulas of ma'rifah, of irfan. Please can you give me a dhikr to do, or please can you give me a taweez to mix with water, pour over my head and hop on one leg. There's no shortcut to the ma'rifah or tazkiyat al-nafs, or the purification of the soul. The purification of the soul is very difficult. It is so difficult. If anyone ever tells you that to purify your soul is something very easy, they're lying. Tazkiyat al-nafs, the purification of the soul, is very difficult, and for good reason. Not everyone can purify it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Shams, after giving all of those oaths, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا, says successful is the one that has purified it. The one that has purified, that is the success of a human being. That he purifies his soul. In the hadith of Mi'raj, when he's addressing the Holy Prophet and telling the Holy Prophet about the people of the Akhirah and the traits of the people of the Akhirah, he says, يَمُوتُ النَّاسِ مَرَّةً وَيُمُوتُ أَحَدُهُمْ فِي كُلِّ يَوْمٍ سَبْعِينَ مَرَّةً. He says that every human being only dies once in their life. But the people that are made for the Akhirah die 70 times a day, every day, fighting against their lowly desires. Sometimes sin is always the easy option. To go towards to fight your nafs is always difficult. Think about it, and any option, think about any sin. To do the sin is always easier. To stay away from the sin is always more difficult. That's why it's like death. Because a person can go and do this thing that he wants to do, but knows that Allah will be upset with him. And so he tries to refrain himself, hold himself back. Fasting, the reason why fasting is so important, or why it infuses or brings taqwa into the life of a person through the fasting, is because that it grabs hold of two of the greatest things that will drag a person to hell. Two diseases. The one of shahwa, the one of desire, and the one of anger. These two things, it grabs hold of them and controls them, or it should do. I mean, sometimes most people get really angry when they're hungry, but that's another thing. That's when we're totally obsessed with the dunya. And we're totally so, then we start getting really angry because we're hungry and it's hot and I'm fasting and I need to, yeah? And then someone tells me to do something, then I become really angry and upset about it. And anger, this is one of the major diseases that a person can have. And there's so many different avenues I can speak about, and we just don't have the time. And the last 2 or 3 days I've been wanting to start a hadith with you, and I never get the chance. So today, come hell or high water, I'm going to start that hadith for you today and finish it today and tomorrow, inshallah. So the point being that to purify oneself is to go against all of those things that are easy in one's life. And when we come over a certain stage in our lives, then it starts falling in place. But the purification of the soul is like melting away or burning away all of the layers that have accumulated over the heart of an individual. In the same way, those of you that are aspiring gym goers, those of you that are aspiring to have that perfect body with the six-pack and everything, you know how difficult it is to burn away fat. You know how much time you have to spend in the gym, what regime you need to have for yourself, where you need to control what you eat. It's very difficult. Tazkiyat al-nafs is the same. That when you're going to the gym and you need to lose weight or you're trying to gain mass, there are certain foods that you'll eat, there are certain foods that you'll refrain from. There are certain exercises you'll do, there are certain exercises that you will refrain from. The purification or the development of the soul is exactly like that. It is like you working a muscle. You restrict it from certain things that will cause it to slow down, i.e. sin. And you increase in other things that will develop it. And that is staying away from sin, doing your wajibat, adding on mustahabbat. It's a development process. Fasting is essential in that development. Yesterday we spoke about food and the importance of food and the connection of food with one's spirituality and one's development towards Allah in reference to Imam Hussein alayhi salam's statement. Imam Hussein alayhi salam's statement in Karbala, قَدْ مُلِئَتْ بُطُونَكُم مِّنَ الْحَرَامِ. Your stomachs have been filled with haram. And fasting is the opposite. Staying hungry has huge benefits spiritually. And I want to say this quickly and then move on to the hadith. It says fasting or staying hungry has huge benefits inside a human being. In one of the narrations from the night of Mi'raj, the Holy Prophet asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or Allah asks the Holy Prophet, that do you know what the benefits of hunger are? He says, Ya Allah, how can I know in front of you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the first thing that hunger will do to a person is bring that truthfulness. One of the effects of hunger is truthfulness. It will bring that huzn da'im. It will bring a constant sorrow within the person's heart, because the believer lives between khawf and raja, lives between fear and hope. He's not always hopeful. He's not always like, no, I did matam, that's it, ya Ali, I'll be fine. No, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. Just because I claim, just because I say I'm a Shia, there's no guarantee that they will come and do my shafa'ah. So I live in this between fear and hope that maybe I wasn't good enough, but the hope that I tried my most, I tried my utmost, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help me. So I live between these two states of fear and hope, not constant fear, because that leads to a person becoming depressed and upset about that they'll never be able to achieve that. But at the same time, not total hope. You know, some of us live lives of absolute satisfaction. We look around going, yeah, he's going to Jahannam, they're going to Jahannam, they're going to Jahannam. Everyone else is going to Jahannam except me. Right? No matter how many diseases I have, no matter how many problems I've got, but everyone else is going to hell but me. You know, and I live my life like that, with a chip on my shoulder, and everyone else around me is going to hell. So these are these aspects of being able to understand. So fasting, it brings about certain things. What do you think in Shahr Ramadan that all of a sudden that shaitan is locked up? No, people hear this. It's metaphoric. It's not. It goes against God's promise. If God says to him, I've given you time until a certain time, he's not going to lock him up every month. It's the justice of God. It's metaphoric. That's locking up of the shaitan. Is that the one that dwells within? But it's not because all of a sudden the magical mercy of Allah descends upon the earth and everyone becomes a really good Muslim. Why is it in Shahr Ramadan that you feel more inclined towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why is it in Shahr Ramadan that you want to pray where usually you never pray? Why is it in Shahr Ramadan that you want to stand in Salatul Layl, you want to recite Quran, you want to do all of these things and you find the strength to do it? Why? It's not because that Allah's mercy is like really encompassing in that month. Yes, it's the month of mercy, but His mercy exists throughout the year. So the only difference is that we're restricting what we eat. We're reducing the amount we eat. So when we reduce the amount that we eat, that spiritual growth begins to increase. When you accustom yourself to hunger, the third effect that Allah says, that the one that accustoms themselves to staying hungry, that person will not care whether they live in rich or they're living like a rich person in wealth or in poverty. For them it doesn't matter. They will be satisfied. They will have rada. They will be satisfied in every single situation that they're in. The person who accustoms themselves to hunger. For us, hunger is like this big problem. We come Shahr Ramadan, Rajab comes in and we start getting a bit, agitated. It's getting close. And then someone tells us, do the mustahab fast in Rajab. Oh, it's not Ramadan yet. Don't make me fast now in Rajab. Sha'ban comes and, the heart starts increasing now. Fear, 30 days, oh my God, I have to go to work, this long day. What am I going to do? And I start getting worried and they say, look, fast in Sha'ban as well, it's recommended. You're like, no, I'll just wait till I get there, And I delay the inevitable until the night before Shahr Ramadan. Then I want to start debating, no, this moon, no, next is tomorrow. For me, it's tomorrow. Yeah, and on the tail end, no, might eat this before everyone. Yeah, so I want to delay the start and might eat this before everyone else. Yeah, so I start looking. Okay, which marja says tomorrow's Eid? Okay, I'm with him. Yeah, and the one that delays the start, I'm with him as well. It's the only time of the year that we all become astronomy experts. Everyone becomes great astronomy. No, I've seen the charts. It's at this degree. It wasn't seen. Or it was seen. Or I accept it. Everyone becomes an expert in astronomy. And the other thing everyone becomes an expert in Shahr Ramadan is the time of Maghrib. 2 times. Only 1 time in the year does someone become an expert in astronomy and the time of Maghrib. Oh, and the time of Fajr to some extent, That time, no, Azan's not happened. Keep on eating. Yeah? So we become experts in that month. But the holy month is supposed to help us progress. It's supposed to be the peak of our spiritual life. That we start from Rajab, we enter Sha'ban, so that when we enter Shahr Ramadan, we're ready to sit at the banquet table of Allah and reap all the benefits. But what we do is we try and delay this state of hunger, thinking that it's something bad, but not knowing that hunger is that thing that will bring me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says to the Holy Prophet, do you know when my abd is closest to me? The Holy Prophet says, no, Ya Allah, when? He says, when he is hungry or when he's in the state of sajda. 2 times. When you're hungry, raise your hands for dua. When you're in sajda, ask for your dua. Then imagine then, if you're fasting and in the state of sajda. And you're asking Allah, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi. How you'll answer? But Shahr Ramadan comes, and the inevitable night comes where we have to start fasting the next day. Then the holy month becomes what for us? It becomes the time between two meals. Yeah? We're worried about what we're going to eat for suhoor, and now thank God for the internet and Facebook. Now everyone's posting articles, if you eat cucumbers, if you eat tomatoes, eat lettuce, they have a lot of water, they coconut, this and that. If you eat this oatmeal or have your paratha in the morning, it will delay your hunger for a long time, and this and that. This is like going to be a news flash, breaking news, they do here. Right, breaking news. The whole point of Shahr Ramadan is that you feel hungry. The point is not that you feel fuller for longer, that you start eating different types of food so I don't feel hungry. The point of Shahr Ramadan is that you feel hunger, because in that hunger there is closeness to Allah. You feel hungry. You should feel that thirst. And then come the whole day, we start getting to about midday, and then, okay, what are we having for iftar tonight? Huh? What do I feel like having? And then all those foods I don't eat throughout the year, especially for Shahr Ramadan. So I'm just feeding my nafs on either side, trying to mitigate this period in between where I've got that proximity to God. And then it'd be like, oh no, there's niyaz at the masjid today. Oh, okay, who's sponsoring? Yeah? Who's sponsoring? When they sponsor, they always make biryani. We'll go. And for me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, come to me, Abdi, come close to me, come close to me. I'm giving you the opportunity. I say, I don't want to go to masjid, this dua, iftitah, all that, too long. They recite too many du'as after Maghrib, I'm hungry. Yeah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us the opportunity, and He's so merciful that He says to us, okay, my servant, if you don't want to come for me, at least come for biryani, but come. Do you see the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how it works? He says, okay, you don't love me enough to come to the masjid, then at least come for the food. Maybe, just maybe, your heart may change. Maybe you might take that step towards me. Tazkiyatun nafs is about pushing oneself. It's not about being lazy. It's about pushing and developing oneself till a person reaches that closeness to Allah. And that's where the guiding light comes. That's where you see haqq from batil. And in this war of haqq and batil, you don't look at where your friends are going, or in fact where your family are going. You look at where is haqq and you go towards that. Amir al-Mu'mineen says that our Shi'as are the ones that follow haqq even if it goes against them. They're the ones that tell truth even if it affects them. I try and do everything but tell the truth, anything to preserve me. As long as it preserves me, I don't care about anything else. It's not the Shia of Ahlul Bayt. We can't claim to be the followers of Ahlul Bayt. One of the major diseases that you find present within the army of Yazid and within the people of that time, that ultimately led to those actions within Karbala, is something I alluded to yesterday, and that is the disease of pride. The disease of pride is that one thing that will annihilate a person. When a person becomes proud on anything, when the azadar becomes proud upon his azadari, or when the person that prays becomes proud upon his prayers, or when the person that recites becomes proud upon their voice, or when the person that walks in a way that they're proud of the way that they walk, This is annihilation. The person is destroyed. The person now doesn't care. Whatever they do, they think they're doing it for Allah, but actually they're doing it for shaitan. They're doing it for themselves. The minutiae of if I am sitting here and I am speaking to you and I see that you like something and I see that you're all becoming happy about it, and I change my words and my Majalis to make you guys happy because I think it's making me more popular amongst you and that you will call me back again. So I start speaking about those things. This Majalis, everything that I've done is gone to hell and it's going to drag me to hell. No matter if I'm sitting on the minbar. No matter if I'm reciting the Masahib of Abu Abdullah. The moment myself becomes inclined towards what the people want to hear, it's all over. Those that recite, the moment you're reciting your qasida or your marthiyah, and you know how people turn their voice, yeah, they make certain things longer, they turn their voice to make it beautiful, and you hear people doing wawa on the way that you're turning your voice, and you think they're liking it. Let me turn it some more. And so then I turn it some more, I make the melody longer, I stretch it out. Now it's not qurbatan ilallah. Now it's not for the pleasure of Allah. Now you're doing it for the people. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grab that person and say to them on Yawm al-Qiyamah that yes, you did recite for Abu Abdullah, yes, you did recite Qasida, yes, you did recite Majalis, but the thing is that your intention was for the people. Now go to the people and ask them for your reward. For there is no reward here for you. That namaz that you recited extra slow because someone was behind you, go and ask them for it. It's so important that we analyze ourselves and every single point in our lives ask ourselves, why did I do that? And this is where muhasabah comes in. Taking account of oneself. Take account of yourself at the end of the day. When you lay in bed, how is it that I lived my life today? How did I speak to people? Did I stand for someone? Did I shake someone's hand? Did I ignore someone? Why did I ignore them? What was my intention behind it? If I stood for someone, what was my intention behind the standing? If I did something, what was my intention behind it? Because when Munkar and Nakir question in the grave, they'll ask you. They'll say, in 1996, when you stood up for a certain person, when they walked in, but you had a smile on your face, what was your intention behind it? Why did you do it? They'll ask to that level, to that depth. So a person has to constantly analyze. Pride is that one thing that will destroy an individual. It's one of those major diseases amongst many. But it's one of the major manifestations of the soul, of that animal side of the soul of a person. It manifests in various ways. This hadith comes from, or is considered to be from amongst hadith Qudsi. One of those direct revelations to the Holy Prophet, the conversations of Allah and the Holy Prophet that are not Quran, hadith Qudsi. Within this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the Holy Prophet. He says, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Says, iftikharun nas fi dunya ala sattati awjuh. He says, the pride of man in the world is based upon 6 things. We're going to analyze these 6 things today and tomorrow. أوله بوجه الحسن. The first thing is upon his good looks. They're proud on their good looks. وَالثَّانِي بِالْفَصَاحَةِ. The second is upon their eloquence. وَالثَّالِث بِالْمَالِ وَالْوَلَدِ. The third is they are proud over their wealth and their children. وَالرَّابِعْ بِالْحَسَبِ وَالنَّسَبِ. The fourth is that they are proud upon their lineage and their descent and what family they come from. وَالْخَامِسُ بِالْقُوَّةِ. The fifth thing is that they are proud upon their power. وَالسَّادِسُ. And the sixth thing that they are proud of is bil-mulk, is they're proud of their kingdom. 6 things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlights. He says the pride of man is based upon these 6 things. Then he continues. He says, لَمَنْ افتخر بالمال لَمَنْ افتخر بوجه الحسن. Says, why are they so proud upon their good looks? تَلْفُحُهُمْ وُجُوهُمُ النَّارُ وَهُمْ فِيهَا كَالِعُونَ. For on that day we shall grab them by their faces and we shall burn their faces in the fire. It's a special type of burning. This kalihun, this way of burning that Allah speaks about, is where there is, you see often people make a dish using the head of a goat, yes? It's, at least in Pakistan and stuff, we call it siri pie. Yeah, we take the head of a goat and you boil it and yeah. The process before that is that you take a blowtorch to the head of the sheep or the goat, whatever it is, and you burn it to get all the hairs off. Yeah, does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, thank God. I thought I was the only one. Okay, fine. So that's good. So you burn it. You burn off the hair until the lips, at one point, the lips retract of the animal from the constant burning, and only the teeth are shown. This refers to this kalihun is this way of burning. Says that the one that is proud upon their good looks, their faces will be burnt in the fire till their lips retract and only their teeth remain. Allah says, why are they so proud over their good looks? I think that I'm so good looking. So now I need to take this selfie, put it on, maybe put a bit of airbrushing on it, get rid of a few blemishes. Yeah? So now it looks the best. Or now I've just started the gym, so I want to wear a really sort of like a vest, and I want to show my muscles to everyone because I've just started the gym, and I'm really proud of this fact. And so now I'm showing everyone that look how strong I am. Yeah? And then when I don't get enough likes, when I don't get enough likes on Instagram, I put this photo up, I think it looks great. I think, I look very nice in it. Yeah? I put it up on Facebook, Instagram. My elders will forgive me if this is making no sense, but hopefully the youth understand where I'm going with this. So I put it up on Instagram. Yeah? I put it up on my Facebook. And then I start waiting. Oh, come on. Someone's got to comment. Every 2 minutes I'm checking. How many likes have I got now? Oh, who's commenting? Who's liking it? Who's commenting on it? Did she comment yet? This is the reality. That we do these actions for what? So that the people can adore us. Whereas if you think that you're good looking, there's narrations that when you look in the mirror and you find yourself to be good looking, say Alhamdulillah, thank Allah for making you so good looking. Don't stick it on Instagram so that everyone else can fulfill your lowered self-esteem. That this person will say I'm good looking, she'll say it, they'll say it. And then on the other side, we're like, okay, what am I using social media for? What is it that I'm doing on social media? I often ask this Muharram, I ask this question that, would I be happy to hand my phone to my Imam? If my Imam appeared, would I be happy enough to give my Imam my unlocked phone with my social media accounts, everything open? So he could see my private messages. He could see whose photos I've liked. Double click on the heart on Instagram. Yeah? think that no one's watching those girls' photos that are being liked on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram. I think no one's watching. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. What was the intention behind your click? We will be questioned. Sometimes it makes us feel a bit awkward. But oh my God, what is he talking about? This is the reality. You'll be questioned about it. And then sometimes we don't want to appear like, we're being something wrong. So then, if it's a sister who's, and even the sisters, mashallah, hijab, and then layers and layers of makeup, and this is my selfie, this is hijab. This is not hijab. Huh? And then the brothers try and make it like, oh yeah, I don't want to show you that I'm actually liking your picture, but I am liking your picture and I'm looking at you in that way. So what do I write under it? Mashallah, sister. What is the intention behind it? We will be questioned on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Then why is it that you were looking? What was your intention behind it? What was the intention behind the selfies that you uploaded and wanted the people to see? What was the desire behind it? What did you hope to achieve from it? The way that you walk on the street when you see a member of the opposite gender, and the way that you hold yourself, what was your intention behind it? The way that you slow down your car when you see a female walking. These are questions that we will be asked. On Yawm al-Qiyamah they say, the narration from the sixth Imam comes. He says that on Yawm al-Qiyamah a man will be brought forward. A young man that had spent his youth committing crimes of haram, committing zina and adultery. He will be brought forward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask him, why is it that you committed the sins of the flesh? He will reply, Ya Allah, it's not my fault. You made me good looking. It's hadith. Says Allah, it's not my fault, you made me good looking. Says, we made you good looking. So if we hadn't made you good looking, you wouldn't have done these actions. Yes, Ya Allah, if you had made me ugly and had not made me attractive to members of the opposite gender, I wouldn't have committed these haram. The reply comes, so you are saying that because we made you good looking and we haven't made you ugly, members of the opposite gender were attracted to you, you committed haram with them, so it's because we made you good looking. He says yes, the call will come out, where is Yusuf? Bring Yusuf. Nabi Yusuf will make his way through the people of Mahshar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will address that youth. Says, tell me, are you better looking or is Yusuf better looking? Why is it that Yusuf saved himself from haram? You know what the secret is? Why is it that Hazrat Yusuf was saved? Why is it that he didn't commit those haram? He had the prime opportunity. If you look at it, in a place of kufr, in a closed room, no one would have said anything, no one would have heard anything, no one would have... He had free reign to do what he wanted. The sixth Imam explains, says, why is it that Yusuf was so chaste? Why is it that he could stop and fight against the onslaught of Zulaykha? Says, because Yusuf, in the whole time that he was in the palace of Fir'aun, Yusuf always had his eyes lowered. He never looked up at an mahram. So now when he was face to face with Zulaykha, it was as if he was looking at her for the first time, and he was able to move himself away from that situation. Where do my eyes go? To a member of the opposite gender in the street and... Well, so what are you doing? You're not even blinking. He says, well, one look is allowed. Huh? I'm making that one look count. You have to... We're trying to better ourselves for the Iman. These things that we do, these actions that we do, we will be questioned for them. The way that I do a full 360, almost like the exorcist, turn my head all the way around so I can look at members of the opposite gender. The way that I raise my voice, the way that I walk slightly differently. These are things that we will be questioned. And the hadith also appears that a woman will also come on Yawm al-Qiyamah, having committed the same actions. Allah will say, why did you commit them? Allah, I was good looking. If you'd made me ugly, I wouldn't have done it. The voice comes, bring Maryam. Hazrat Maryam comes forward, tell us. Why is it? And again, it is that lowering of the gaze. The eyes are the gateway to sin. If these eyes are accustomed to looking at sin, if they're accustomed to looking at members of the opposite gender, if they're accustomed to following people around, it will lead me to sin. How do I purify myself? I lower my gaze. So the first thing that Allah says, that man's pride exists in this world because of his good looks. But on that day, why is he so proud of them? For on that day we will grab him by his hair and burn his face in the fire. The second thing that Allah says, لَمَنْ افْتَخَرَ بِالْفَصَاحَةِ. Why are they so proud over their eloquence, over the way that they speak? الْيَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَىٰ أَفْوَاحِهِمْ وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Says, for on that day, why is he so proud over his eloquence? In the way that they can speak, in the way that they can recite. Why are they so proud? On that day, we will seal their mouths, and their hands and their feet will tell us, where is it that they went and what is it that they did? Can you imagine a time where I can try and work myself out of any difficult situation that I find myself in? I can tell lies and I can spin webs and I can spin stories. On that day, there are no stories to spin. On that day, there is no way that I can talk myself out of a situation. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, that day there will be no way that I can speak. Mouths will be sealed. Can you imagine all of existence from Nabi Adam until the day of judgment? All will be raised on the plains of Mahshar, all of them standing side by side, and the sixth Imam says there won't be a single sound. The only sounds will be like that of the buzzing of bees. Because on that day, no one will have permission to speak. On that day, no one will have permission to move unless told to move. On that day, even when they're coming out of the graves, say that 1 foot will be out of the grave, 1 foot in the grave. 400 years they will remain like that. Until Allah says, lift your other leg out. On that day it is a total mulk, total control of Allah. Now in this world where I'm so sharp with my tongue, I'm so silver-tongued that I can convince anyone to do anything. Or I speak to members of the opposite gender because, you know, I've got game. And I'm gonna speak to them like this and, you know, look how I can woo this girl. Or look how I can woo this guy. Yeah? The way that I speak. So on that day, we're going to seal your mouth. Your hands will tell us what you did. Your hands will tell us, Ya Allah, He made us go here. He made us do this. The feet will speak, Ya Allah, He walked us into that place of haram. What will we say on that day? How will we be able to justify our actions? If I look back at my life and look at every moment in my life, could I say that I can justify everything? Or will I be highly embarrassed when someone brings up those things that only I know, no one else knows? Those moments of sin that I did in hiding. Those times that I shouted people down with my tongue. The worst of people. Hadith. So sharrun nas, the worst of people, is that individual whom the people fear because of his tongue. They say, don't start him off, he's going to start swearing at you, he's going to start saying something to you, and it's not worth it. You know, we all know people like this. The seventh Imam says there are certain people in this world who they speak in such a way that you just wish they'd just stabbed you. It's more painful the way that they speak to you. They just have that sort of tongue that is always harsh, that is always bad, that is always swearing. Says that person is the worst of mankind. The worst of mankind is the person the people fear. They say, you know what, let's not bring this up in front of him. Or okay, let's just listen to what he has to say or whatever he wants. Let's just do it because otherwise he's just going to start problems. Sharrun nas, the worst of mankind. Every morning when the organs wake up, hadith says, all the organs turn towards the tongue. And they say, look, if you control yourself today, we'll all be okay. But if you're out of control, you're going to drag us all to hell. The eyes address it, the ears address it. The body addresses the tongue. If you're able to control your tongue, if you accustom yourself to silence, the individual that does not speak too much. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in hadith of Mi'raj, Allah says to the Holy Prophet, He says, the people of the dunya are whom? He says, the people of the dunya, they talk too much, they eat too much, they laugh too much. They're often angry. They're never satisfied. There's 20 traits that Allah highlights in this hadith. They eat too much, they laugh too much, they talk too much. The person, if you want to increase your spirituality, if you want to get closer to Allah, you want to increase in your hikmah, don't talk. Reduce the amount you talk. The less you speak, the more wisdom you will gain. So being able to control the tongue is one of the essential steps towards getting closer to Allah. Sometimes, you know, we say things that we just don't even mean. It just comes out. And then I'm like, I didn't mean that. No? The Holy Prophet goes on Mi'raj and he sees, as he's coming in, there's a wall in the heavens, a small pinhole in it. And as he sees, something starts pushing through. And it's a horn. And then it pushes a bit more. And now another horn. And a head. And then 2 hind legs. And a huge, he says, after from this tiny pinhole, I saw this huge scary cow coming out. So scary in its appearance. I turned to Jibreel, I said, Jibreel, what is this? What is its significance? He says, this is that tongue that speaks out of anger. This is that tongue that said something out of anger. It comes out from such a small place. But now he says, I saw the cow turn around and try to go back inside that small pinhole. But no matter how much it tried, it couldn't go back in. He says, this is that tongue that speaks without thinking, speaks in anger. Now no matter how much they try and take back what they said, it can never be taken back. Control the tongue in that pursuit towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being able to remove that pride in our eloquence. You know, sometimes when someone's speaking and I have something to say, just try not to say it. You know, one of the diseases of the tongue is that I always have to have an opinion on something. Now it's, you know, with our fingers, you know, I have to comment on someone's life on Facebook. Or I have to have a comment about something. People are discussing, I don't know anything about the subject, but I still have to have some sort of input into the subject. And especially in, like, obviously, you know, 3 areas everyone's an expert in. Politics, everyone's an expert, regardless. Medicine, everyone's an expert. and Islam, the deen. Everyone's an expert. Then no matter how many years you... No, I've done this. But how many years have you said? No, I don't care how many years you've studied. I heard this from my grandfather and my grandfather. We've been doing it. That's it. This is being able to stay silent. It's a disease. Certain people talk too much. Certain people always like to interject, like to cut other people off. These are diseases of the soul. We will never be able to achieve that true success or the true servitude of Allah and the Imam of our time until we focus on purifying ourselves, until we focus on developing ourselves. And that isn't just what we enforce upon our children, but it's rather what we enforce upon ourselves. That is what will have more effect upon our next generations. If they see the elders just constantly fighting and doing riba of other people, then we will raise children into that same lifestyle. If they see mum and dad come home from the masjid having heard a Majalis on how bad riba is, how the person of riba will never enter into heaven, and then they go home and they see mum and dad doing riba, they say, okay, that's fine. When we go to the masjid, we have to act like this. When we go elsewhere, it's fine. Yeah? God doesn't exist outside the masjid. It's what we do with our actions. And when parents have established actions, mothers and fathers have established religiosity within their lives, it will then go a long way into permeating into the hearts of their children. Not just forcing them to go into the madrasa or forcing them to recite Quran. When mum and dad, they come home, mum and dad don't even recite Quran. We force them to go and finish Quran, finish. Come home and mum and dad never ever recite Quran in the house. Quran's never opened in the house. They come home, music's playing in the house. This is how you create that army that goes against the Imam. If we increase that religiosity within ourselves, implement it within our lives, and we go forward with it, and we go forward in that way, then we begin to raise children that are willing to give their life for their Imam. Look no further than the example of Qasim. Look at a 13-year-old boy in Karbala. That the night of Ashura he's asking his uncle that, oh uncle, will I also be amongst those that die? And you hear that Abu Abdullah tells him, yes, even you, my son, even Ali ibn Asghar will be killed. And then the day of Ashura dawns, and he's constantly coming to his uncle's sending him away, and he constantly comes. They say at one point he came, the child came, لَمْ يَزَلْ يُقَبِّلُ الرَّجِلَيْهِ وَيَدَيْهِ. He was constantly kissing the hands and the feet of his uncle. That's, uncle, give me permission to go out and fight. Abu Abdullah takes the child in his arms, and he begins to cry loudly. They say, فَغُشِيَ عَلَيْهِمَا. Both of them fainted. When they came around, Abu Abdullah prepares this son of his. He starts now to tear his amama. They say he turned the amama in half and he wrapped it around the head of Qasim and brought it under his chin in the way that a person dresses a person going to kafan. And then he prepares Qasim. Qasim mounts upon his horse. He rides out. Hamid ibn Muslim narrates. He says that we saw that Qasim came out towards us. وَبِيَدِهِ سَيْفُهُ. In his hand was his sword, and upon his body was a shirt. Qasim was so small, Qasim was so young, that there wasn't an armor that would fit his body. He says we saw the boy, his face was shining like the new moon. He was shining like the crack of a moon. In his hand was his was his sword, and upon his body was his shirt. On his feet he had two na'lain. I saw that the strap of the left one was ripped. The boy rode out towards us. In tankuruni fa'ana ibn al-Hasan. If you don't know who I am, then I am the son of Hassan. Sattun Nabi al-Mustafa wal-Mu'taman. Wa hadha Husaynun kal-asir al-Murtahan. بين أناس لا سقوا صوب المذن. He says, if you don't know who I am Qasim, the son of Rasulullah, the son of Imam al-Hassan, the son of Rasulullah. Here is the Hussein surrounded or imprisoned by you. He comes riding out. The boy fights bravely. Hamid ibn Muslim says, there was a man by the side of me. He said, by Allah, I will inflict a pain upon the heart of his mother today. Hamid says, I turned to him. I said, why will you go and attack the boy? Look, he's been surrounded by from all four sides. They'll eventually kill him. He says, no, by Allah, I will kill him myself. He rides in behind Qasim. He says he struck the head of Qasim with such force. فَوَقَعَ عَلَى وَجْهِ الْقَاسِمِ. Says that the head of Qasim split open. Now Qasim falls from the horse. When every other shaheed fell, he called out, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Oh ya Aba Abdullah idrikni. But when Qasim fell, Qasim was so young, he called out, Ya Amma idrikni. Oh uncle, come to my aid. Aba Abdullah comes riding out. The Maqtal says Hussein came into Karbala like an eagle attacking its prey. He came riding towards Qasim. He attacked the one that attacked Qasim and killed him. The horses began running from left to right. They say as the horses galloped from left to right, the voice of Qasim was heard. It's enough, uncle, I can't bear it anymore. When they say the horses dispersed, they say we waited for the dust to settle. وَالْحُسَيْنْ قَائِمٌ عَلَى رَأْسِ الْغُلَامِ. Hussein stood above the head of the boy. The boy was kicking his feet and hands in the earth of Karbala. Abu Abdullah looks towards his nephew. Azza wallah ala ammek. How difficult it is for your uncle, my son, that you call him and he answers you. But when he answers you, it's too late. Then they say we saw Hussein bend down. Hussein bent down towards the earth. He places his hands under the body of the child. He says they lifted. The Maqtal says Hussein lifted the boy. وَضَعَ صَدْرَهُ عَلَى صَدْرِهِ. He placed the chest of the boy on his chest and he began walking back towards the tents. And they say وَرِجْلَيْ الْقَاسِمِ تُخَطَّانِ الْأَرْضَ خَطَّى. They say the feet of the boy were making lines in the earth of Karbala. You heard before that this child was so small that there was not an armor that would fit his body. He was so small that his feet wouldn't reach the stirrups of the horses. But now why is it that when a fully grown man holds his chest to his chest, the boy's feet are still dragging on the earth? They say when Qasim fell and the horses ran, his body was trampled under the hooves of the horses, bones broken. Abu Abdullah takes the body of the child back into the tent where he kept the body of his son Ali Akbar. They say Hussein laid Qasim down. He laid him between both of them. He placed one hand on the chest of Ali Akbar, one hand on the chest of Qasim. He said, oh Allah, bear witness, this ummah has taken both my sons from me. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the sins of our parents. Oh Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Oh Allah, keep safe the Shia of Ali Muhammad around the world. Oh Allah, destroy the enemies of Tashayyu, both internal and external around the world. Ya Allah, those that have brought hajat, those that have difficulties, sorrows and problems in their life, for the sake of the son of Imam al-Hassan, Ya Allah, remove their difficulties, fulfill their hajat, and remove all sorrows from their life. Ya Allah, Keep our ulama and our maraji at the head of our institutions. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true muntadhireen, his true waiters, for the acceptance of these du'as and any of the du'as that the brothers and sisters have brought. Please recite 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.